So I'm here to do organizational SEL, and that is help organizations make sure that they're using social emotional development at the base of what they're delivering to the community, and not just delivering it to the community, but making it also part of the infrastructure of their own organization and operating through that lens, and showing you how to deliver whatever it is you do for the community with social emotional at its base, instead of thinking it only has to be delivered through an arts and wellness program. If you have contact with community, that is a moment for you to do some social emotional development for them and for yourself, which is where it has to start first. And so that's why we are here today. It is a multifaceted practice. It has to be a lifestyle, a characteristic, and that is a difference between a lifestyle and a characteristic, and that's a whole nother talk. And it's also a tool. Okay, so we're here today to talk about building personal business rapport. Hold on, let me check and make sure none of this has anything to do with me. Nope. Okay. We're here to talk about building personal business rapport. And the reason personal business rapport is important is because we have to deal with relationships with people. We have relationships with people for all various reasons, to move your mission forward, to get volunteers, to get community to serve, to get politicians on your side, your aldermen, whatever, your other friends, other community on your side. And so you have to learn how to make relationships with them. Now, the thing about making relationships as far as it being on a business level is a little tricky, is because you have to learn to separate the person sometimes from what it is they actually represent. There is a real thing in the business world called preference falsification. Now, anybody heard of preference falsification? Anybody? I don't, was that a yes or a no?
No.
Nope. So if I said false flagging, you know what that is? That might be a little too old of a term for some. That's cool, but what?
I know what that is. Yeah.
Right. So in the hood, in certain arenas, we'll call certain acts false flagging. So for those who don't know what that means, is it's a character switch. And it is an acceptable character switch in corporate America to do or say whatever it is you need to do or say to support or get people to support the thing you're pushing or sell somebody. So you don't even have to believe in it. You're just false flagging for a particular purpose. And that is actually some bullshit built into our world that's acceptable. And it's called preference falsification. There's a whole Harvard report on bullshitting so that you can get what you want. So when you're building business rapport, it's important that you do separate the person from their job, because, don't judge nobody for doing what they got to do to put bread on the table. Okay. And sometimes you got to do business with people you don't want to do business with, but at least you know directly where they're coming from. Or depending on how important it is that they do be on board personally and from the business front, you can make a better decision on whether or not you want to do business with them. So it's important as you approach politicians that you understand, are they canvassing because they just want to vote, or do they really believe in this themselves? Because if you don't really believe in it, then how you going to fight for me when I do come get you to sign off on A, B, C, or D, or try to get me to get help with something that you're trying to push for the community? So when they say capping, so yes, personal preference, I keep saying personal, but preference falsification is the thing that you have to fight through. So it's important to get this clear canvas so that you can see the two sides of the person and compare them and see what do they actually believe compared to what they are representing. More importantly, how big of a difference are those two things? Because if they're a drastic difference, then me personally, if you can operate like that, then I probably don't want to mess with you, because I can't even get a real answer to know what I'm supposed to do. Because if you give me the truth, I can work with that. But if you give me a lie, I can't work with that. And so you really want to get a clear picture of who they are as opposed to who they're representing. And then, like I said, make a comparison of those differences and then decide how you want to go forward with that business relationship, and, get a little bit more insight into their personal business character. I kind of just blurted that all out there really fast. I could go into some other things, or I could shut up and listen to you, which is, I'm cool with that. Anybody got some questions and stuff?
I can definitely go for it.
Okay. I know good. I was just going to ask, what folks perceive as, barriers to making this happen. For me, when I come in, I'm like, okay, I want to build a relationship. I struggle to feel, disciplined when talking to elected. They're going to, come in and be like, oh, I'm here to build rapport. But then they'll say something where I'm like, oh, now I got to get a little bit more education. I forget that my goal was actually to build that rapport. Because they always come in with an agenda. And I sometimes get, distracted by that.
Yeah, I know. I wish I had a good, solid, this is what you do. But with all social emotional things, it starts directly with you and your response and how willing you are to be open. It's just like you could read a passage and get one thing out of it. And then you read it again and you get something completely different, and you read it again, and that thing that you understood before takes you to a next level. So the only way to really do that thing is you just said it. You just did the work. You already know that you're going to have your side eye together when you get in front of a politician. You already know that. You just did the work. So you know to find out what it is that you need to check about that side eye. What are you looking for them to do or not do? So that you can acknowledge it already and get it out the way. It's okay to say I told you so, but don't set it up.
Yeah.
Don't set up the I told you so. Don't be looking for but you don't be surprised either. They're like, yep, you did what I thought you was going to do. Nobody's saying not pay attention to that, but don't have the attitude to go with it. Still have the openness. Mm-hmm. Because even though they may not give you the direct answer of what you need, they may tell you something that can give you the workaround. But if you have your attitude up, you're not going to hear the workaround, which could be what they really do like. And you approach them on the thing that they do want to listen about, and then you slip in what you want while you soften them up. But you won't be able to hear that if you got your attitude up, your dander up, as my nana would say. Right? So don't have your dander up, and that way you can hear the workaround to getting what you want. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do understand your interaction helps me better develop this thing here and think about stuff. There's always stuff to think about because emotions aren't like they're constantly doing the thing because there's a ton of people with tons of emotions. So thank you. I thank you.
That is helpful to me too. It's helpful to me too, knowing that taking the time to build the rapport is important for overall strategy. And I think that would help me remind other leaders sometimes they question why take that time when so much to deal with this. This is helpful. Thanks to you.
Because the other thing you have to remember is always a long game. They may not like you in what you're doing, but they know how to set your person aside. And if they like the way you approach them as a person and they come up to something else or something else comes up that y'all agree on, they're going to remember that interaction. And then so the next time, if you have to come across them, they're going to be like, oh man, I remember the last time we didn't, really favor each other, but we were very respectful and it came across nicely. So, on this, we agree. Let's see what we can do. You don't know what's going to happen later, especially when not messing with, but dealing with people in politics or business, you never know when they're going to cross paths again, or who they know, or what might come across their desk that they can't do anything with, but they're going to remember you. Regardless of if they liked you or not, they're going to have liked the interaction. And that's what's most important to protect. Ooh, the silence. Is this thing on? No.
I think you're good. I know the 2-minute marker came up.
Oh, okay.
So it may
That's
be
perfect.
time to move. That may be what it is.
That's perfect. 6:00. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Akeisha. You always ask me the dopest questions. I'm glad I record them so I can go back and learn myself. And I appreciate this organization for giving me the platform to develop this. Thank you.
Of course, thank you as always, showing up for us, doing us up. Okay, so I think, just to make sure I can't see the room, Big Tree is not here, right? There's no one from Treatment on Trauma present?
So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody on Instagram. Woo, the nerves. Yes, y'all, I do get nervous. Aretha Franklin said, if you don't get nervous before you perform, you are filled with too much ego. So, good to know that I still get nervous. Okay. But yes, thank you very much. If you want to know more about organizational SEL or deeper team building for your organization, business, community service, if you deal with people on any level, holla at me and I will help you implement social emotional learning / development, team building, and everything that you do, because it is not just about arts and wellness programs for children. We all have to deal with each other from 0 to 99. And so that's a lot of social emotional development across generations and cultures. So social emotional development has to be in everything that you do. It is not just a thing. It is a lifestyle, a characteristic, and a tool. And I can break that down for you. That's what Thug Hippie do. But I got to get back to this meeting. So later.